One of the most common mottos in English is time is gold, which is true. Time is so precious that even in English grammar, it plays a very special role to our verbs. Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about the tenses of verb. I am teacher Dom and it's time to learn English the better way. Okay, when we say tense as a verb, always remember that the term tense refers to the time when an action occurs. And we all know that whenever we talk about times of our lives, we often talk about our past experiences, our present condition, and of course, the future situation that we've been dreaming of. That is why when we say tenses of verb, we actually have three main classifications. For you to better understand what I'm saying, look at this illustration. Let this arrow represent time. Any action that you do today as of the moment or now is an example of the present tense of the verb, while all the actions that you did yesterday or last week are what we call the past tenses of the verb. Now, what about for the actions that you will be taking tomorrow or in the weeks or years to come? Generally, those are for the future tenses of the verb. So again, when we say past tenses, these are things that have already happened. These are actions you did earlier in the day, yesterday, last week, or years ago. Okay? For the present tenses, these are things that are happening right now or things that are continuous. And finally, for the future tenses, these are things that have yet to happen. So these are actions that you will do probably later, tomorrow, next week, or next year. So, I hope it is clear to you now about these three major classifications of the tenses of verb. So again, we have the present tenses, the past tenses, and the future tenses. Now, here's the main thing. Each of these classifications has 4 variants. That is why, in English grammar, we've got a total of 12 tenses of verb. For the present tenses, we've got the simple present, present perfect, present continuous, and the present perfect continuous. Now, same idea applies for the past tenses and the future tenses. So, we have here the simple past, past perfect, past continuous, and the past perfect continuous. And for the future tenses, we've got simple future, future perfect, future continuous, and the future perfect continuous. Okay, now I know that while looking at the screen right now, it is just like a plate with so many foods to chew and digest. So, in this video, we are just going to focus on the first 6 tenses of verb. For the sake of this tutorial, we will call them the simple group and the perfect group. The other 6 will be covered in a separate video so that you will not suffer from information overload with just a single clip. For a topic like this, the best question to ask is when to use the tenses of verb, because it's not enough that you know the structure of each tense. In this lesson, we will focus more on the differences of the simple and perfect tenses and the proper way of using them in writing or in speaking. Now, let's go with our first pair. When to use simple present and present perfect. For simple present, these are actions that are happening right now, or the routines that we habitually do, or things that occur regularly. We also use these tense when stating facts. Let's see our examples here. Jovelyn needs help now with her homework. So, if I'm going to ask you, when does Jovelyn need help for her homework? It's actually now. The action in this sentence is occurring now. Next, Jovelyn and Gabby watch Korean drama every night. In this case, because of the phrase every night, it means that it is the habit of Jovelyn and Gabby to watch Korean drama at night. Then we also have the earth revolves around the sun. Scientifically, it is a fact. That is why we use the present tense. Now for the present perfect. We use this if the action occurred at an indefinite time. Remember, when we say indefinite time, it means that the time when the action was taken is not determined or specified. Another is when the action began in the past and continued to the present time. Now, here's the real deal. The greatest difference between the simple present and the present perfect is that this one follows a specific pattern or structure. The combination of the helping verb has for the singular subject or have for the plural subject plus the past participle of the main verb. For example, Gabby has finished his homework. We used has because we have a singular subject. With this sentence, if I'm going to ask you, when has Gabby finished his homework? Of course, you can't give me a specific time, because in the sentence, it was not mentioned. That is why we use the present perfect, because the action occurred at an indefinite time. Another one, Gabby and Jovely have grown impatient over the last hour. This means that the impatience of Gabby and Jovely started an hour ago, and up until now, they feel the same way. Now, what if we know the time when the action happened? This time, we will use the simple past, okay? So, when to use simple past and past perfect? We use this one for things or actions that happened or existed before now, or if our action happened at a definite time. We also use this tense for past state of being, such as the way someone felt about something. Now, let's look at our examples. Billion years ago, dinosaurs once ruled the earth. According to our archaeologists, before we, humans, started existing, dinosaurs inhabited the earth first, right? Next, Jovely accomplished her homework last night. If I'm going to ask you now, when did Jovely accomplish her homework? She accomplished it last night. You see, the action occurred at a definite time. That's why we use simple past tense. Next, Romy was shocked about the news this morning. Here we describe a state of being. It's what Romy felt about the news this morning. Now let's proceed to our past perfect. It is something that happened before something else. Just like in your present perfect, past perfect also follows a particular pattern or structure. The helping verb had plus the past participle of the main verb. Here are our examples. Gabby had written an excuse letter before her sister went to school. Another one, after Marky and Romy had finished their homework, their mom arrived. Look, in our first sentence, we have Gabby, a singular subject, and in this one, Marky and Romy are a plural subject. Remember, whether your subject is singular or plural, you will use the helping verb had. Now, here's the main thing. Look at our examples for the simple past. Each sentence has only one main verb. For this one, we've got the simple past tense of the verb rule, which is ruled. Here, we have the simple past tense accomplished, and for this one, we've got shocked, with the helping verb was. In short, we use the simple past if we only have one action that happened in the past at a definite time, while in the past perfect, you will see two main action words that occurred in the past. Going back to our definition, something that happened before something else. It only means that your past perfect is the verb or action that happened first. In our first sentence, Gabby had written an excuse letter before her sister went to school. We have the past participle of the main verb write, which is written, and the past tense of another action word, go, which is went. Now, look at our illustration. If this is our present time and we are to look back of the past, the action word write occurred or happened first before the verb go. Therefore, this is our past perfect, so we use its past participle form, which is written, and coupled it with the helping verb had. For this action word, we just use its simple past tense, which is went. So we come up with the sentence, Gabby had written an excuse letter before her sister went to school. Same explanation applies for our next sentence. We have two main verbs here, finished and arrive. Studying our sentence, we will realize that before the mother arrived, Marky and Romy are already done with their homework. So again, if this is our present time and we are to look back, the verb finish happened first before the action word arrive. That is why this is our past perfect. So we use its past participle form, which is finished, and with the helping verb had. And for this action word, we just use its simple past tense, which is arrived. So we have this sentence. And for our final pair, when to use simple future and future perfect. We make use of the simple future tense if we have action or condition that will begin and end in the future. This tense is written with the modal will plus the base form of the verb. For example, Jovilie will visit her grandma this coming Saturday. In this sentence, you will notice the term or the verb visit will happen or will be performed on Saturday. Another one. The exam will be hard, but Romy is determined to do it. For this one, we're actually describing the future situation Romy will be experiencing. Meanwhile, we use the future perfect tense if we have actions that will be completed before some other point in the future. Again, since this is part of the perfect group, we follow the pattern will have plus the past participle of the main verb. For example, the show will have ended by the time Gabby arrives. Another one, before 8 o'clock p.m., Marky will have left the party. Now, just like our simple past and past perfect, in simple future and future perfect, the number of the main verbs present in the sentence matters. Basically, in future tense or in simple future tense, we only see one verb preceded by the modal will, while in the future perfect, you will discover two verbs in one sentence that will happen in the future. So again, by definition, we use the future perfect tense if we have actions that will be completed before some other point in the future. It only means that your future perfect is the verb or action word that will happen first before the other action word. In our first sentence, the show will have ended by the time Gabby arrives. Here, the words end and arrive are our action words. Look at our illustration. If this is our present time and we are to look forward, the action word end will happen first before the verb arrive. Therefore, this is our future perfect. So we use its past participle form, which is ended, and coupled it with will have. For this action word, we just use its simple present form, which is arrives, because here Gabby is singular. Same idea for our next sentence. Here, we will discover that before the clock ticks at 8 p.m., Marky will already be out of the party. Again, if this is our present time and we are to look forward, the verb leave will happen first before the time turns 8 p.m. So, since this is our future perfect, we use its past participle form left preceded by will have. So I hope you have a better knowledge now as to when to use the first 6 tenses of verb. Again, the other half will be covered in a separate video. I hope you do learn a lot from my videos, and if you do, please do not hesitate to click the subscribe button below. Once again, this is Teacher Dom, helping you to learn English the better way.